radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black. Your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. All right, Fade to Black. First show of 2022. Bespoke Radio. For the masses. Yeah, man. Today's Monday, January 3rd, 2022. 3 days into the new year, only 362 days left. Let's go. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of nowhere. A total undisclosed location. But it is beautiful in here. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer, and UnX Networks. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? It's officially 2022. Wow, we made it. That countdown. 3 days into the new year, only 362 days left. Man, oh man. All right. Tonight, kicking off 2022, our guest is Reuben Langdon. Oh, man, what a perfect guest. And we are going to be discussing Season 3 of Interviews with ED, Extra Dimensionals. And then tomorrow night, right here, Don Schmidt is back. We're going to be talking about the UFO question going into the new year. The best guest for that. Wednesday night, Chad Kalick returns, and he's got a new film out. It is called 74 Minutes. We'll be discussing that on Wednesday. And then Thursday night, Linda Moulton Howe closes out the week, and we will be discussing Disclosure in 2022, which means there's no Fader night this week, which also means Disclosure in 2022. Linda and I will be talking about everything. So that is an amazing week to kick off the new year with all of you. It's going to be great. So let's get things started. And first things first, I will be hosting the Conscious Life Expo February 4th through the 7th in exactly a month here in Los Angeles at the LAX Hilton. And I host it every year. I'm going to host the Expo's Got talent show. I'm going to do the keynote panel on Friday night that I host every year, and the Ancient Secrets panel. So that's going to go down on Friday night, and then I'm going to host all weekend long and have a little Fade to Black booth there in our same spot, and I will see everybody there. Tickets and info, there's a link in the video description box below. This is the biggest event of the year, every year, and I look forward to seeing all of you here in Los Angeles at the LAX Hilton. ConsciousLifeExpo.com is where you want to go. We've got links over at JimmyChurchRadio.com, links throughout social media, links in the video description box below. Get your tickets. Check out the schedule. Look at the amazing speaker list this year. It's always great, but again, Conscious Life Expo is going to be extraordinary. So come and hang out with us at the LAX Hilton. Now, everybody wants their own crystal skull. We're going to be talking crystal skulls here at the bottom of the hour with Reuben Langdon. And we're going to be doing that part of the night with Reuben. We're going to be talking about his season 3 of interviews with ED. And part of that involves crystal skulls. And you want your own crystal skull. Maybe it's your second, maybe it's your third, maybe it's your first. I want you to go to EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com, Carolyn Ford's website. She has got the best crystal skulls in the business. And go check everything out over there. And the promo code is Jimmy for 10% off of your crystal skull order today. That's all you got to do. Jimmy, right there, 10% off. All right? All right. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. That's what you want to do. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. And hashtag F2B is the sandbox. Hello to everybody watching and listening all around the world. You know what's going on. Welcome. It's now officially 2022. Yeah, it's got a cool ring to it. And I'm a numbers guy. I'm going to be talking about numbers here in just a little bit. But I'm a numbers guy. And 2022, that's got to be special. That's got to be special. Next week, I'm going to have Serena Wright-Taylor on the show. And nobody knows astrology like her. And I'm going to hit her. What's the significance of 2022? That's deep. Now, so I was thinking, when's the next time we have something like that? 3033, that's 1,000 years from now. That's easy. But what about 2222? So that's 200 years out. That's pretty special. 2022. Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. 22, 23, 24, 25. Doesn't ring with me. But 2022, that's very unique, and we are all here to live through it. I think it's going to be a great year. All right, let's get to the breaking news. Seriously breaking news right before the show tonight. Elizabeth Holmes has been found guilty. The jury in the criminal trial of Elizabeth Holmes, the former CEO and founder of Theranos, has reached a verdict. Holmes was found guilty on 4 charges, 3 counts of wire fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud. The jury returned no verdict on 3 counts of wire fraud. She was not found guilty on 3 additional charges of wire fraud and 1 charge of conspiracy to commit wire fraud. There were 11 charges total. She's found guilty on 4. She now faces up to 20 years in prison, as well as a fine of $250,000 plus restitution for each count of wire fraud and each conspiracy count. We are talking a lot of money here. And I don't think anybody knows where the money went now. You should check out the HBO documentary. It's called The Inventor, Out for Blood in Silicon Valley. And you will get the full background on Holmes and the Theranos story. She founded Theranos when she was 19 years old. She quit. She was at Stanford University. She was a sophomore, quit college, and started Theranos at the age of 19 and was like a billionaire. Yeah, at least on paper. A little something in my throat. The only thing that cures that is River Moon coffee. I kind of cheated today. It's you don't have to worry about the River Moon coffee part, but I got a white chocolate mocha creamer from the big name. I know. I couldn't help myself. And it's actually pretty good. All right. The other breaking news, a nuclear fusion reactor in China has now set a record for sustained high temperatures after running 5 times hotter than the sun. And it did this for more than 17 minutes. The experimental advanced superconducting tokamak, otherwise known as EAST, known as an artificial sun, reached temperatures of 70 million degrees Celsius. The ultimate aim of developing the artificial sun device is to deliver near limitless clean energy by mimicking the natural reactions occurring within stars. I've talked about this process and how it happens. It's all done with gravity and extreme pressures. But wow, 70 million degrees Celsius for 17 minutes. The Giant Gamma Ray Flare event, designated GRB 2001-415, was emitted by a powerful magnetar in NGC 253, an active starburst galaxy approximately 11 million light years away from the constellation of Sculptor. The spat out was as much energy as 1 billion of our suns, and it happened in the fraction of a second. This type of star, known as a magnetar, is a neutron star with an exceptionally strong magnetic field, and magnetars often flare without warning. But even though magnetars can be thousands of times brighter than our sun, their eruptions are so brief and unpredictable that they're challenging for astrophysicists to try and find and study. The giant flare was detected back on April 15th, 2020, by the Atmosphere Space Interactions Monitor, the ASIM, on the International Space Station. Researchers reported the incident December 22nd in the journal Nature. All right, now check this out. New solar shingles for your roof, debuting at the CES 2022 show, can be nailed directly to your roof. GAF Energy, sister company to the roofing giant GAF, is expanding its rooftop solar offerings with a new solar shingle that can be incorporated with GAF shingles to create a solar roof that GAF Energy is calling Timberline Solar. Timberline Solar will be cheaper than other solar roofs, about half of what Tesla's roof cost, and be comparable to the cost of a new roof with rack-mounted solar panels. The electrical components and wiring are on top of the shingle because of its low profile. And I'll say this, it's about time. Let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to today, Led Zeppelin's John Paul Jones, 76 years old. Now, we always talk about John Bonham, greatest drummer in history, right? Jimmy Page, probably the greatest songwriter, guitar player of this and any other generation. You know, Robert Plant, that dynamic front man that every front woman in the world wanted to be like, right? We also, you know what? John Paul Jones was the glue. John Paul Jones today is 76 years old. Absolutely incredible. Bassist Guy Pratt today is 60. Now, Guy Pratt has played with every band you can think of, starting with Pink Floyd and 100 others. Happy birthday, Guy Pratt. Plays Ashdown amps, by the way. Our dead guy's birthday today is, moment of silence, please, George Martin. 1926 to 2016, died at the age of 90. George, of course, was a record producer, an arranger, composer, conductor, audio engineer, and a musician. He was referred to as the fifth Beatle in reference to his extensive involvement in each of the Beatles' original albums. But it wasn't just the Beatles. He also produced and worked with Jeff Beck, John McLaughlin, John Williams, Neil Sedaka, Ultravox, Kenny Rogers, UFO, Cheap Trick, Elton John, the Little River Band, and Celine Dion. George died in his sleep on the night of March 8th, 2016 at his home in Wiltshire, England, at the age of 90. Happy birthday, George Martin. On this day in history, 2004, the Mars exploration rover Spirit safely lands on the red planet. Spirit was operational. Spirit was operational on Mars for 3.3 Martian years, or 6 years, 77 days in Earth time. Fate or fact? Have you seen the film The Lobster, by the way? Check it out. And in the spirit of that film, The Lobster, I'm going to give you this. Lobsters produce an enzyme that repairs their cells and helps their DNA to replicate indefinitely. That's right. Some say this makes lobsters immortal. And that is your Fader fact. Yeah. Tonight, we welcome very special guest Reuben Langdon is back, joining us to discuss Season 3 of Interviews with Ed, ED. That's right. Tomorrow night, Don Schmidt is back with us. We're going to be talking about the UFO question into the new year. Wednesday night, Chad Kalick is back. He is here to talk about his new film, 74 Minutes. And then Thursday night, closing out the week, our first week in 2022, Linda Moulton Howe is here to discuss disclosure in 2022, which means there's no Fader night this week. That's right. All right. It's time for me to hit this River Moon coffee. Third Stone, that's what I'm talking about. John Paul Jones. Think about that bass line of Dazed and Confused. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, I got pipes. I could have done the bass in Led Zeppelin without a bass. I could have. I also could have been the low voice in like the Temps, right? And do that shoo-bop, right? I could have done that. Man, I miss my calling. I should have been a backup singer. Yeah. Like in the OJs. Should have sang in like the OJs, the Shy Lights, the Twilights, the Bake Lights, the Black Lights. RiverMoonWellness.com. GAF shoulders. Really? Is that what it looks like? That's actually pretty cool. Why didn't they do the whole roof? Why did they just cut it off right there? But it looks so much better than solar panels. Yeah, it's pretty cool. You should have just done the whole roof. Lit up the whole street, man. That's what I'm talking about, Ken Priest. Oh, man. Cal Korff exposed. This is now a Twitter account. Good Lord. Oh, man. All right. Where am I at? RiverMoonWellness.com. Man, I love my River Moon coffee. I like my coffee, Doc. All right. I got to focus. I just finished the first 7 episodes of Station 11. It's on HBO Max. This is an absolute must-watch on every level. Amazing characters, amazing storyline, very deep, very complex, very cool. Cinematic eye candy, all of it. You cannot stop watching it, guaranteed. And it's a binge warning in full effect. I'm just letting you know right now. You're going to start watching this after the show tonight. And it's going to be 6 o'clock in the morning, and you're going to be going, man, just one more episode. I don't have to do anything today. I can sleep at work. I can sleep on the way, on the drive-in. I'm just warning you right now. It's that good. It stars Mackenzie Davis, who first caught my eye in *Halt and Catch Fire*. Remember when I was telling you about that series? Still a great series, *Halt and Catch Fire*. And Mackenzie Davis it's just a mind-blowing actress. She's incredibly complex. And Station 11, wow, right? All the characters, all the actors, just fantastic in this. She was also great in The Martian and Blade Runner 2049. So it's called Station 11. It's on HBO Max. Please check it out now. Just start it and go. It's absolutely incredible. And it's 10 episodes. I'm all caught up. The next 3 episodes are releasing per week. and we'll get to the season finale. Don't know what's happening. Station 11. Just go. Just check it out. It's incredible. And which brings me to the fact that I like numbers. Yeah, I do. And so I'd like to share some with you right now. And I'm just going to say this before I get into this. Renee. I'm just going to say Renee. And what's that song? Don't walk away, Renee. Anyway, Renee. So I want to share some numbers with you. Here are 9 things that scientists actually measured in 2021. Start taking some notes. Number 1, scientists calculated that a half-pint glass of beer produces up to 2 million bubbles, about twice as many bubbles as champagne. And all of this according to their study published in March in the journal ACS Omega. Number 2, if you were to gather all of the particles of the SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19, circulating around the globe into one place, the weight of the tiny invisible particles would be somewhere between that of an apple and a small watermelon. All of this according to a study published in June in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. Number 3, using satellites and artificial intelligence, researchers counted African elephants from space for the first time, according to a study published online in December of 2020 in the journal Remote Sensing in Ecology and Conservation, and announced in 2021. The final numbers will be released later in 2022. Number 4, using high-speed cameras and force sensors, researchers figured out that the fastest acceleration of the human body is a snap of the fingers. Finger snaps generate maximal rotational velocities of 7,800 degrees per second and a maximal rotational acceleration of 1.6 million degrees per second squared, according to a study published in November in the Journal of the Royal Society Interface. Number 5, researchers in Switzerland have now calculated the most precise value of pi. 62.8 trillion decimal places. The calculations, which took 108 days, were done with a supercomputer. Remember, this record will be broken over and over forever. Number 6, how many black holes exist in the universe? Well, in a study published in October, a group of researchers calculated that there were millions of small black holes just in our cosmic neighborhood, the most immediate environment around our sun. All in all, they calculated that black holes could hold about 1% of all of the ordinary matter in the universe. Number 7, how long would it take to walk around the moon? At a hypothetical walking speed of up to 3.1 miles per hour, which researchers previously calculated back in 2014, it would take about 91 days to walk the 6,786 miles around the moon if you didn't sleep. It's more likely that a person would walk just a few hours a day. If a person walked at this speed for 4 hours a day, it would take about 547 Earth days, or about 1.5 years, to walk around the moon. Number 8, how many satellites currently orbit the Earth? I'm glad you asked that, because researchers released the numbers last year. About 10 to 60 were launched annually up until the 2010s. Since then, the numbers have increased tremendously. 1,300 new satellites were sent into low Earth orbit in 2020 and another 1,400 in 2021. As of September 2021, there are around 7,500 active satellites in low Earth orbit. And last but not least, number 9. The absolute limit on the human lifespan is just 120 to 150 years. According to a study published in the May journal Nature Communications, a group of researchers calculated that limit using mathematical model, which predicted that after 100 to 150 years, the body would lose its ability to recover from illness and or injury. Yeah. That's what scientists spent their time doing during lockdown. Tonight, we welcome very special guest Reuben Langdon is here to kick off 2022 to discuss Season 3 of Interviews with ED. Tomorrow night, Don Schmidt, right here, back to talk about the UFO question in the new year. Wednesday night, Chad Kalick. I'm looking forward to this conversation because he's here to talk about his new film, 74 Minutes. Thursday night, closing out our first week of 2022, it's Linda Moulton Howe discussing disclosure in 2022, which means there was no Fader night this week. That's right. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer and UnX Networks. I'll be right back with our guest, Reuben Langdon. Stay with me.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net.
Introducing the Game Changer blend from Rivermoon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all Rivermoon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2B Blend for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. GetTheT.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. GetTheT.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's GetTheT.com. GetTheT.com. The tea that makes you go.
The new KUNXDB, the UNX Network, bringing you the best in paranormal programming in premium, high-definition streaming audio and video. Log on to the network at unxnetwork.com and check out the growing lineup of programs, including Jimmy Church, Whitley Strieber, Micah Hanks, and many more. Sign up for the free UNX newsletter, follow the UNX blog, or pick up the latest edition of the UNX magazine. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. So check us out at unxnetwork.com. Tap the show page and the calendar so you never miss your favorite live shows and podcasts. We are your portal for all things paranormal. The X, explaining the unexplained.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Manson. You're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What a great, amazing week we've got lined up kicking off 2022. Tonight, Reuben Langdon's here. Tomorrow night, Don Schmidt. Wednesday night, Chad Kalick. Thursday night, Linda Moulton-Howe. Wow. I can't wait. It's going to be a great week. Tonight, Reuben Langdon. And he's here. We're going to discuss season 3 of Conversations with, is it Ed? Is it ED? What does ED even stand for? I know what you're thinking. We'll find out from Reuben. Reuben is an international stuntman, actor, filmmaker, video game star, whose work you can see in productions like Pirates of the Caribbean, Power Rangers, the TV series, the highest-grossing film of all time, Avatar. I think that's been replaced. We'll get back to that. He was the stunt double for Jake Sully's Alien in Avatar. Reuben is Ken Masters in Street Fighter. I bet you didn't know that, but you already know. He's Dante in the Devil May Cry franchise, a franchise that I owned before I met Reuben. I think he's in Devil May Cry 5, 6. It was while working, he's just said 5. It was while working on James Cameron's Avatar that Reuben had his first UFO sighting. And this sent him in the direction of ufology and the paranormal. For over a decade now, he has been researching the extraterrestrial phenomenon. And in 2013, of course, he co-produced the 5-day event at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. called the Citizen Hearing on Disclosure. His website is ReubenLangdon.com. All things Reuben, ReubenLangdon.com. I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black, Reuben Langdon with the flowing lockdown hair.
That's it. COVID hair all the way.
Yeah, man, you got the flowing locks. See, I remember before we get to it, but you've gone through a few phases. You've gone for the businessman cut, the GQ cut, the long flowing locks of the 80s and 90s, and the Dante thing going on, and now you've kind of come full circle.
It is full circle. We are 2022, and I am gonna let it go as far as I can until someone says cut the hair, you hippie.
Yeah, well, see, the good news is you can still grow it. See, that's all you want to know. You just want confirmation. Right. You know, mine used to grow really, really fast. You know, I've had long hair my whole life until recently. And it doesn't grow like it used to. It's still, I got a full head of hair and everything. But I used to be able to grow like 2 feet in like 3 months. And
wow.
Yeah, it's not that kind of party anymore. But you look good.
The good thing about COVID is I think it's given a lot of people an excuse to kind of let the hair go, stay at home, don't dress up, don't go out as much, and when you do, you don't have to dress up as much. It's like everybody's a little more relaxed in that sense.
You know what, man? You know what I do? I swear to God, when I go out, and I don't care, I'm going shopping, I'm going into public. Whatever I've got on is what they see. I get in the car with my pajamas, my fuzzy slippers. I haven't shaved in 2 weeks, and you go and you look around, and everybody's doing the same thing.
Exactly. That's we're all just being ourselves now.
I see women wearing their robes, right? They don't give a crap, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's great. I love it.
I actually wore fuzzy slippers the other day, and I swear, so I go out. I'm in a Jeep, right? I drive a Jeep. And I'm kind of a rough and tumble looking guy. I get it. And I got out to the Jeep and I jumped in, started it up, and I looked down. I got fuzzy slippers on. I'm like, screw it. Put the thing in reverse. And I'm walking around Vaughn's, man, the shopping cart wearing fuzzy slippers. And nobody will say anything anymore. And I kind of like it. I do. I kind of like it.
Me too.
Now, season 3. I kind of want to get straight into it because there's a lot to cover here. And you've also given the viewers and myself lots of different subjects to talk about. You cover a lot of different things. We're not going to be able to get through everything tonight. It's impossible. There's too many things that are covered in the season. But the first conversation, though, is about you. From season 1 to season 3, how have you changed?
Oh my goodness. What a journey. This has been quite, if you've been watching the show, it's just me. It's me having a conversation with these people, and the entities and the collective energies that they channel. And, they're telling their story. I'm sharing a little bit of mine, but for me, my worldview has changed so much. I mean, I already had, I believe at that time, 2014, when I started the journey with the show, I had already produced the citizen hearing. So I was already around, Linda Monhal, who you have on your guest on this week, and Don Schmidt as well, who's part of this citizen hearing. So I was around a lot of really intelligent, smart people who already had an open mind. And I thought my mind was already pretty much as open as it could get. And then I started this journey in 2014 until now, and it's just been ongoing. Every time, every interview, every person I meet, and every channeling session I sit in on, my mind is blown, and it has been a worldview transformation like nothing you could imagine. And the beauty of it all is early on in 2014 and 15, as I started getting the toolkit, so to say, from these channelers. For example, Daryl Anka, who channels Bashar, and he's giving me, he's got his formula, and others have similar type of toolkits or formulas in different ways. I early on started integrating these tools into my life, and in a pretty short time, I started to see the evolution of how incorporating these tools had a positive influence, positive change in my life. And I've come so far, and it's been a wild ride, but where I'm at now, I wouldn't give anything. I'm just super excited and happy, and my heart is open, and I couldn't ask for the universe for anything more. It's just such an amazing journey.
Now, I remember, let's go back 5 or 6 years. You come over to my house,
That's right.
And you get dropped off. I want everybody to picture this, right? So Reuben says, "I'll be there in a few minutes." Shows up at my house with his luggage. And I'm not making this up, am I?
No, I had my luggage with me.
He had his luggage with. And so I help him carry his bags into that. I guess he's staying for a couple of days. Okay. All right. And so we go in, but this is the deal. We have some coffee. We go and we sit at my table on the back patio. And I said, "What's going on, man?" And you looked at me. And you smiled, but you also had this very serious thing going on. I said, "What's going on?" And you said, "I just came off a ceremony." And I said, "Ayahuasca?" And you said, "Yes." I said, "When?" "Yeah, now." Right? And I said, "What do you mean?" And so we sat and we discussed this. But for you, at that point, you were going through a transformation. And I knew the previous Reuben. I'm looking at this Reuben. And then here we are in 2022 now. And I have seen this transformation in you. And have you recognized the same thing through this journey over the last 6 years?
Well, I guess I have recognized a growth, and an understanding, a deeper sense of compassion, and also claiming my own sovereignty, and working on that every day as much as I can, energetically and physically. That's why I live in the mountains now and growing my own food, and not all of it, but as much as I can. And the evolution coinciding with what's going on in the planet right now, coinciding with these interviews that I've been doing and what's been talked about, my ceremonial medicine journeys. It's been like a movie. It's hard to describe, but definitely all for the positive. Of course, like everybody, I have my down days, and thinking, is the world ever going to turn around? But for the most part, I've been relatively unaffected, because I've been listening to unaffected in a negative way, all positive mostly, because I've just been listening to that inner guidance, listening to the information in my show, applying it, I should say. Listening is one thing, but actually applying it is another. And if you watch the show and you start in 2000, I started in 2014. I released the first episode with Wendy Kennedy in 2015. Mm-hmm. And if you watch it in chronological order, and you compare where we're at now, 2 years of Corona, obviously the world is going through this major transformation. It's all talked about.
It is
in every episode.
It is. And there's and there's another thing that I have seen going on, and I just want to know your headspace in this, mm-hmm. because the subjects that you are dealing with are pushing the boundaries on what is real and what isn't. Mm-hmm. fully, you are going there. Mm-hmm. And in the very beginning, I think that, and you can see this in your interview style, which I texted you about a couple nights ago, in that I think in the beginning you were learning. I don't think you knew a whole lot about what the subject really is. What is channeling? What is light language? What are the Akashic records? Who is a shaman? And what does that represent? And how do you interpret these things? And how ancient is the history? Is it real? Is it not? Is this something else? Is this a bunch of snake oil that is going on? And all of this are questions that you raised yourself in each episode. So how much how much of a skeptic were you in the beginning? And we'll get to the end, but in the very beginning, as you're dipping your toes in the water, how close were you into, you know what I mean? into crossing
definitely,
the line.
I try to be a healthy skeptic, however, what I've noticed doing these interviews and going into this subject matter is when you, I'm a big fan of healthy skepticism and suggest everybody use it and use discernment. But my, I guess, style of interviewing these people is I dive in and I do a little bit of research, but I'm the opposite. Instead of, prove to me this is real, I walk into it with this is real. Like I try as much as I can in my belief system to match and meet them and say this is 100% real. And then I have to wait to see if it's gonna not be real in a sense. Like I'll look for those signs. And out of all the interviews I've done, I think I've only not published about 2 that later. It was either in the interview process or later when I got home and was in the editing process. It just didn't feel right, so I didn't do that. But I think one of the reasons I'm able to sort of go as deep as I can is because I do that. I kind of meet them full on. I'm a full believer. Take me on a ride. Let's go, and I can just go in deep. And then the people who I'm interviewing and the channelers and the entities that are coming through, I try to match where they're at and then and see where it goes from there. So
this is part of the evolution, and then we'll get to that I see, and then we'll get to season 3, is that season 1 pretty much pure channeling. And then season 2, as with all channeling or anything in the subject, things fragment. Things go out into other directions, and you're constantly having to rope that in, right? So in season 1, you dealt with channeling. Season 2 started to break off, and you can't help but do that because you are learning more. You are able to ask different kinds of questions, and your understanding of what is going on. Season 3, there are no boundaries.
It's all over the place.
There's no boundaries. Right?
Well, that's what I've been learning about the phenomenon. Is it's not limited to lights in the sky, and I know you've had many guests on as well, and your understanding of that is probably on the same level. But the more we go deeper and my gateway drug was the UFO phenomenon, having my sighting, and it got me into that world. But, as we talked about shamanism, or as you mentioned, shamanism, light language, the contactee experience, there's contactees that channel, there's contactees that have a direct communication. There's this intuitive psychic phenomenon. There's something I'm going to get into later in season 3 as well is animal communication and talking with our pets and talking with our animal worlds, even plants. Anybody who's taken some magic mushrooms might have had a conversation with some of our mycelium friends. I think there's an intelligence to all of this stuff, and I'm so grateful for the Palladians. Actually, when I first started the series, I was going to call it Interview with ET, Extraterrestrial, and it was windy, and the Palladians actually suggested I might want to change the title to ED, Extra Dimensionals, even though it has that other, people are like, what is ED? Extra Dimensional, just because it covers the whole gamut of the phenomenon is sort of the other term we're using now. The collective is starting to just say, phenomena, and it's wide. It's a big spectrum to cover. And I've discovered over the years that we don't have to wait for disclosure to happen to make the connections to these other realms. When they're all around us, we can access them at any time.
One of the one of the things that I'm so impressed with in your body of work, and it has to be mentioned. I need to know how much of this you have actually thought about. The subjects of your interviews, if you take the galactic part out, are just seemingly normal people. This is not a freak show circus here, right? You know, where I think most people go in with a preconceived, predetermined image of who this person is supposed to be, male or female. And you have, you know what I mean? Does that cross your mind? Like, this person is about as normal in appearance as anybody I can imagine. It's like my mom or my dad.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody who's been on my show, you could, sit down and have a cup of coffee or go out for a beer and have a normal talk about just about anything. They've just got this extra added awareness or library of terms and experiences that, say, your average Joe hasn't had, but they are very grounded, and those are the people I like to connect with, is people who, and that's one of the positive feedback things I've gotten from the show is I do sort of the personal interview first, is the first episode, and then if they're going to channel, then they, I usually follow up right after that, and a lot of people really like that because it helps in the information when you get to know the person and you see them and you experience them and you're just, oh, this is just, another person just like me having a normal life. They're not some kind of guru or superhuman or anything like that. And they've just been able to access this, I call it a technology of channeling, or a method to go into an altered state and bring through this information. And it's unique, but it's not as crazy as most people would initially think. And I think it's becoming more and more normalized.
Now, there's another part. Oh, I want to let everybody know, and this is, I'm going to make Reuben laugh. Reuben is in a remote cabin up in the mountains, and he has got Elon Musk's new Starlink internet. And which he told me before, it's great, man. It's blazing fast, but it doesn't work. So,
well, kind of not for this kind of stuff.
So tonight, if you hear a little, that's what's going on. It's Elon Musk.
It's the trees. It doesn't. There's only so many satellites in the sky right now, and it's facing more towards the north to catch the satellites. And I've got a big freaking tree in my neighbor's yard. Just
chop it down. I'll come out there with a chainsaw, man. Let's just take it down. And but see, this is the thing. When it's working, I mean, you are in high def, blazing sound. Everything is perfect, and then it'll do that little thing. But the audience doesn't hear it, but they're going to miss. They're going to maybe miss a word. And if I didn't say anything, they would never know. They would just think, man, Reuben is like Sybil. He's got 5 personalities because he's saying 2 different things right now. So that's what's going on. And okay, so back when we come back, I actually want to do one of the things that I'm really fascinated in these days. I want to have a conversation about light language. Now, first off, let's just go here. Is light language real?
I believe it is. I believe it. But first, I guess we should define what is light language, because to say is it real, a lot of people wouldn't even know what that is, I think.
Okay, I've had many guests on the show. I've had many guests speak in light language on this show. I think the audience is pretty familiar with it now. But the first time, and we'll talk about this completely in depth when we come back, because you really did an excellent episode on this, completely in Japanese, I might add. We'll get to that too as well.
Yeah.
That was fascinating. Is the first time that I heard it from a kid, right? So I'm listening to a kid do it, and I was fascinated, and I thought to myself then, something isn't consistent enough for me, because if I hear somebody speak Russian or Chinese, Mandarin, Korean, German, French, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, it doesn't matter. There's a consistency there where you can hear the repetitive and you can pick up words and things, right? And it's legit. And then when you hear light language, the first time that I heard it, it was fascinating, but there was a disconnect for me. And that's the part that we're going to discuss after the show. I mean, after the break, after the show. Did you pick up on those same things?
Yes, and I have a lot to say about that. So maybe when we come back, I can go into that a little bit. Or should we? Do we have time to do it now?
No, let's go ahead and take our break. Our guest tonight, Reuben Langdon. We are talking about season 3 of Interviews with Ed. Ed. Head to ReubenLangdon.com. All of your information is right there. It's a fascinating season. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. More with Reuben after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB, The X.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30 days free on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Because you never got that pony you always wanted. Damn it. Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer. Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black Blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B Blend for 15% off of your order today.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Reuben Langdon. I love Reuben. And a couple of things. I just want to we're going to talk about light language now. But for the last 5 years, I've had Reuben come up to me. He's got video cameras and stuff. Hey, church, man, we're going to be doing stuff. I said, really? Man, I want to get in some Reuben action. It's been 5 years, man. He has not shot me for anything. I gave up on it. I was like, Reuben, man. So when? Yeah, soon, man. Soon. That was
it's still coming, Jimmy. It's still coming.
Because the way that you have a gift. And I know some of it you're surrounded with some great filmmakers and friends and things, and you've been at this for a long time, and you know what a cinematic feel is. But you really got that in your production, and I appreciate that you take time for the aesthetic, and which I think is very important today. Very, very, very well shot. It's very cool. But there's none of it that includes me, and I want to be part of that cinematic Reuben Langdon production value, man.
All right, cool. Yeah. I'll make sure we got working on some other projects. Maybe we can get into it later with the Skull project.
Sure. Yeah. Looking forward to it, Reuben.
It's still in the works, Jimmy. It's still in the works.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Looking forward to it.
Documentaries take a long time.
Now, okay. When everybody goes and signs up and starts watching your stuff, you can go to ReubenLangdon.com, interviewswithEd.org. There's multiple ways to go and do it. But you are going to eventually get to the light language episode. And so I want everybody to know, I had to figure this out on my own. Reuben speaks Japanese. Now, and I didn't know. Well, okay, so this is the thing. And this is an important conversation, the Japanese part of this episode. Okay, so let's back up for a second. You've been hanging out in Japan for a long time. You've been working over there. Did you speak Japanese before you started working in Japan, or is all of this new as an adult?
No, I went there. I went to Japan. I moved there when I was 19 and lived there for 5 years.
Right.
About,
but didn't speak Japanese before.
No. I learned it when I was there.
That's incredible, man. That's incredible.
And it's I mean, my wife's Japanese. We speak in Japanese a lot. I ran a business, had a business partner for several years, 15 years or so, and was back and forth a lot. So a big part of who I am integrated in with the Japanese culture. So it's just a part of who I am. I don't really think of it.
It's impressive. No, it's impressive. So this is what I want. I had to figure this out on my own. I'm watching the episode, and I thought you were going to swing it to English, right? So I'm waiting, and I went, no. Okay, now I got to figure out subtitles here, right?
Right.
And and closed captioning, whatever. And I got that turned on, and thank goodness I did. But then I was waiting for okay, so the translator's name is Rika-san.
I'm Rika-san, yes.
Yeah, Rika-san. Okay. I'm waiting for her to start laughing at your Japanese. She never does.
Yeah.
Okay. In other words, you are extremely fluent in Japanese. And there was a way that you ended up conversing with her, and this is important, in Japanese, where your interview style was different. And so I text Reuben at midnight. Right? And I go, dude, you interview better in Japanese than you do in English. And so was that because the Japanese culture and the way that you speak naturally, conversationally, is more of a serious nature? You guys are discussing light language in a very matter-of-fact way, right. Including with her. Right. Was that because of the Japanese language? And I'm being very serious here.
I don't know if it's a language thing. It's so let me give just a little context. So this whole light language, it's been on my radar, since season 2, really, season 1, but maybe even. I had heard it. I was like, okay, I'm not ready to go there yet.
Right.
Let's see how this works. And then this was a couple years ago. I was at Lisa Royale's contact retreat in Arizona, like two years ago, and there was I think Rika actually came to me and she said, "Hey, can you help me translate?" Because she doesn't speak English very well. She's like, "Can you help me translate some light language stuff for some of the other attendees?" And I was like, "Oh, sure." And I didn't know what was going on. And I walked into this session, and these people were speaking light language, and she was able to interpret it. She was able to be a translator for language, but because she had limited English skills, she asked me to then translate her from Japanese, her translation into Japanese, and then from Japanese into English.
Right.
So it became this weird kind of triangulation, and it was kind of odd. And I was just right then I was like, hold on, I got to go get my cameras. This is nuts. I need, this is just, I need to start filming this stuff. The fact that this is even happening and everybody is like, just, this is like a matter of fact thing. For me, it was still kind of new, but after spending time with, I call them Team Light Language in the show. And these are some of Lisa's channeling students. And it's just, I really got a better understanding of what is like language. I got to hear it and feel it. And then, and since then I've been around it a lot with other people. It seems to be growing. People are tuning into it all the time. And I did want to answer your question earlier about, is it real? Mm-hmm. And so my interpretation of it, being an actor, having done improv classes back in the day and acting classes, we did an exercise where we would speak gibberish, and you would have to act in gibberish, and it was an exercise for emotion. Yes, exactly.
Yes,
and it was really for the viewers. were they able to connect emotionally, even no matter what we were saying? Were they able to connect emotionally to the scene that we would be, our acting teacher would say, okay, here's your subject matter, do a scene, all in gibberish, go. And it was, and what I realized is when you are speaking in gibberish, or a real good actor, an improv actor, is able to get out of their head and able to just sort of, in a sense, channel or go into a trance and just feel the emotion and the rhythm of the scene.
Yeah, well, it could be sadness, it could be anger, whatever it is. But you're not going to use words. You're going to use gibberish to get the inflection out and to the other actor, so the other actor can respond back in the same way. And you're doing the scene on emotion with gibberish instead of actual words for content.
Exactly. And I think my belief is that's what light language is. Light language is not about the words. It's about the emotion that comes through during that time that the person is using it. So if we're used to language and listening to words, but if it's an exercise in connecting with our hearts and letting the construct of language fall to the wayside and really tuning in on an emotional basis.
Now,
in that sense, I think it's real.
Now, and focusing on Rika for a second, who is absolutely amazing, by the way. I mean, wow. And just your she's like any Japanese mom that you can picture in your mind. And for her to be saying these things about, she's only been doing this for 5 years, right? And she says, well, I'll let you answer. She says one day she understood. And she thought it was gibberish. And you brought it, you guys, it was funny to hear her say gibberish in Japanese, by the way. It's the same word in either language. But she says that she thought it was gibberish. And then one day, right?
Well, she actually said she had, I don't know if this came up in the episode, I forgot, but she had told me she had a contact experience in a dream, kind of. It was, but she felt she was taken aboard a ship. And something was done to her physically. And then when she woke up from that dream, she was able to understand light language. Like she had could translate it in a sense, or like just have a complete understanding. And what's fascinating is to watch her do these translations for people who don't even know what they're really saying. They're just kind of, okay, and I'm just going to let it just wants to come out. So they're just kind of, in a sense, they're channeling. They're going into a little mini, they're still coherent, so they're not doing the full Daryl Anka thing, but they're just letting whatever come out in a gibberish sense. And then she translates, and they hear it and they feel it, and they're like, yeah, that feels right, And I'm like, are you sure you're not just just agreeing with her because it's and they're just like, no, that and since then, because of that experience with her and the whole episode, so did a follow-up, there's like a seasonal every year I get to go and hang out with Lisa and the crew, and they've been continuing. That group has been continuing and do writings and translate it themselves, and translate each other's light language. And so it's I'd be a part 2 down the road for this, because it's fascinating how vast when you start looking on the interwebs for light language. So many people are doing it now. It's insane.
Yes,
it's crazy.
It is. How many translators are out there? That's question number 1. And number 2, can some that are speaking light language understand somebody else that is speaking it? And can they have a conversation? There's some of this in the episode. Okay, there is some conversation going down. But is that conversation legit? And you understand why I'm asking?
What's legit?
Right. Well, I mean,
that's the thing. I think if people are genuinely making a heartfelt connection and being in the room and experiencing it and being with these people, to me, they are making, and because I can feel it. I can feel the connection that's being made.
Mm-hmm.
So in my reality and in my explanation, I know logically, someone with a scientific background in a traditional sense will look at it and call BS. But I'm like, you got to be in the room. You got to experience. You got to just feel. Let's put aside logic for a minute,
mm-hmm.
which is dangerous sometimes. But this is I think the biggest lesson light language has for us is to get out of our heads for a minute and to start feeling and start tuning into the emotion of what's being conveyed as opposed to the actual physical words.
So for two people to converse in light language, that would mean whoever they are connecting with, mm-hmm. they are actually communicating in the cosmos. Right?
In a sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, one of the things we found in the episode, many of the light language, I guess the channelings that were coming through weren't necessarily all like cosmic or intergalactic. A lot of it was, especially Harry and some of the others, they had this and Ron, they have this earth or shamanic background with earth energies, connecting with nature. And there's a lot of sort of spirits that want to come through and speak from that reality, and then perhaps talk to someone who's bringing in more of a galactic energy. And then that's where the conversation can sort of happen. So you're sort of bridging worlds as the human conduit.
Now, who was it? Ron that Rika was helping channel for the first time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That scene had me on edge. I mean, that's a pretty tense scene, actually, for a lot of different reasons. But you can tell that emotionally and consciously, he's let himself go. He has committed himself, right? And at that moment, out of all of his was primordial, right? It was so honest. Am I right? And
mm-hmm.
I mean, it really had me. It was intense.
Yeah, Ron. He's later in the series. I did a 2-part interview with him. He's Lisa's husband, and what a phenomenal guy this guy is.
Yeah, it's cool, dude.
In this field for so long. He's been doing this stuff, and he's, I guess, easy to, because he rides that edge of he's 1 foot in another dimension already. So it was, even though it was his first time speaking light language, I think it was still easier for him because he's very in tune to
mm-hmm.
Nature and nature spirits and these sorts of things. But definitely, it felt for me too. It felt genuine.
It was intense, man. It was intense.
And he was actually scared. He was like, "Oh my God, what just came out of me after that?" And he was the rest of the weekend for the retreat. He kept like reminiscing on that moment. He's like, "What happened? That's so crazy." So when people have that type of response, when you're in the room and people are connecting in that way, sure, you could say, is it genuine? Is it real? Is it not real? But I go back to, I would say it was genuine. It is an actual, the emotion is there, the intent is there. These experiences, I could feel the energy in the room. Similar to, not as deep as when I'm on a shamanic ceremony with the medicine work. I that's sort of my method to go deeper into the emotions. Sometimes I'm a tough one to crack, but I could definitely feel something there in the room, and I you know that everybody else is feeling the same thing and they're all on the same page. So is it, one of these buzzwords that's going around, right? Is it a collective or mass psychosis? Maybe, but if it's true for these people, and in this form and format and presentation, to me, it's all positivity. It is nothing but connection and love and everybody supporting each other. So psychosis or no psychosis, there's not, to me, it's all positive.
Now, even with the UFO community, which is in most cases the open-minded of the open minds, right? I mean, that's it. There isn't anything more open and accepting than this community. Except for light language, right? Even in the UFO community, right? It's like, okay, right. I'm cool, but the jury's still out with this light language thing, and you understand this.
Well, yeah, and it was initially that way, 5-6 years ago with channeling as well, and now more and more of the community is being open to the channeling phenomenon. So I think it's just part of the evolution. It's always good to be a skeptic, and you can tiptoe into these realities. I don't. I go full in. As our friend Jeremy Corbell says, I go deep into the peanut butter. I'm full peanut butter DPB, and it's and that's okay. It's my fun. I enjoy it. I do still try to use discernment as much as I can. But these people who I'm putting out there on my show, these are genuine people, and they are not snake oil salesmen. They are, in my opinion, the real deal, and doing incredible work to raise the consciousness of this planet.
Yeah, when you sit down with Team Light Language, we're talking about just 4 people from just average walks of life. Very, very, very interesting. And each one of their journeys, how they got into it, and how it found them, again, very unique in its approach. And the one person that I do want to interview, I can't, and that's Rika-san. And, I can't. Right. But your interview with her is incredible. When you were speaking with her, the way that she smiles, she's got a great smile, but she's all about the business, right? She is very straightforward, isn't she?
She is, yeah. And in Japan is a different, the culture around this type of subject matter in Japan, it's a different type of culture. I think being in America, we're more individualistic. We have a bigger margin of sort of free passes that society gives us when it comes to being out there, so to say. And in Japan, if you have to be, it's all about conformity. And there's a famous saying in Japan: if the nail sticks up, beat it down. So to be unique like Rika-san, in these abilities, one, she doesn't advertise it, but two is to go to that level. There's a certain level of confidence that you have to hold that energy in that culture, and she does that well. And others who are, there's a lot of closet, it's a closet UFO community in Japan. I've hung out there and I've tried to tap into it, and a lot of people are into the stuff, but they're just not very vocal because they're afraid that society won't accept them, and in many ways it doesn't.
Yeah, I have to ask you about that aspect with her. Is that been a difficult journey? Does she have to come to the United States to feel comfortable, or is she okay in Japan?
I think her and others are okay in Japan, but I think when they come to the States, there is a certain level of freedom that they, emotional freedom that they can feel especially at a conference like what Lisa's retreats. Everybody there is sort of for the same. It's like going to Conscious Life Expo or Contact in the Desert. We're all there. We're all the crazy ones, and we're all like able to just be crazy and not be judged, and it's okay. And I feel Rika-san and other Japanese people who come to the States for these events and things are able to open up a little bit more than they traditionally would be in Japan.
She's fascinating. I mean, there was, as we head to the break here, when I start to watch the interview unfold, what hit me was, this is incredible. Because she's got a different way of speaking about this. And her approach to it, where I felt like this had my attention from the word go. She's incredibly gifted and very intelligent. And the lights are on. She's got a thing about her, doesn't she?
She does. I had just met her at that conference, and I'd spent some time, and I'd been to Lisa's retreats in Japan as well, and I got to know some of the people, sort of the regulars there. But yeah, there's a certain amount of confidence that she has that I haven't seen as much in other Japanese people who may have the gifts, but she owns them and owns it well.
She's about the business, man. She's about the business. So let's take our break right here. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Reuben Langdon. We are talking about Season 3 of Conversations with ED. More with Reuben after the short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
This is Jimmy Church, and I personally invite you to the 2022 Conscious Life Expo this February 4th through the 7th, live at the LAX Hilton in Los Angeles, California. This year, we have the most exciting speakers, including Whitley Strieber, Adam Apollo, Billy Carson, Daryl Anka and Bashar, William Henry, Caroline Corey, Susan Slaughter, Daniel Brinkley, JJ and Desiree Hertog, Sarah Breskman Cosme, George Norrie, Gail Thackeray, and many, many more. I will be hosting all weekend long, including the keynote Ancient Secrets panel on Friday night, 5 vendor and exhibit halls, 3 floors of speakers, panels, and celebration. This is the biggest event of the year, and early bird passes are available now. Just go to ConsciousLifeExpo.com for the schedule, speakers, and information. That's ConsciousLifeExpo.com. Do you want to be an official Fade or Not? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Fade or Nots. When you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Reuben Langdon. We're talking about his new season 3 of Conversation Interviews. Oh, man. That is too funny. Reuben corrected me during the break. He's like, dude, it's interviews. And it's so funny that is just a memory block. You know, I've got it right here. And what I had done over the last week is I was fixing it in my mind. Interviews or interview, right? Okay. Yep. Is it plural? Is it not? And for some reason, conversations just got into my head, and it's interviews with Ed, with ED. Okay.
It's actually Interview with Ed is my version, and then on Gaia it's interviews with an S with Ed, so they added the S to it.
And ED is and D is plural, dimensionals.
Dimensionals, yep,
right,
exactly.
Right.
Which is like a new word. I don't even know if that's an actual word or not.
It should be interview with Eds. Let's just throw another loop in and confuse me even more. But I want to get into, because I immediately reached out to you about Emily Harrison. Mm-hmm. And now, let me ask you this. I go to you for cool guests. That's what I do. I go to Reuben. I go, Reuben, you got to put me in touch with so-and-so. And but who do you go to? How does the food chain, how are you finding these extraordinary subjects to interview?
That's I don't know. We have to ask the universe that, because the universe just brings me through divine synchronicity these people. And it's been sort of, I don't know. I don't really go searching very hard for guests. I kind of just go with my ebb and flow of life, and people send me things. Hey, you should interview this person, or you should check this person out, and I'll kind of flip through. And there's a ton of people that I have on my list, and I just kind of make a list, mm-hmm. and then I reach out to them in time, and I'm like, okay, I think it's getting close here. And then where are they geographically? Is that something that I can actually? Because all my interviews I do in person. So try to see if that's even a possibility, and just kind of let it flow through divine synchronicity. And it's been, and Emily, I think she reached out to me. Oh, she reached out to me a little over a year ago, or almost 2 years now, I guess. She was a fan of the show, and she had her own podcast thing going, and she wanted me to be on her podcast. And at the time, I didn't really know much about the Akashic records other than what had come up in different channeling sessions. And so I had a very basic understanding of what it was. And I was like, well, that's interesting. I it comes up a lot. I should probably do an episode about it, digging deeper. And I went and attended. This was actually after one of Lisa's retreats in Arizona. I went up to Sedona and attended a seminar event that Emily was putting on. Because I hadn't thoroughly vetted her. I wanted to make sure, what she was teaching, everything was in alignment with my mission and what I'm putting out there. And yeah, she totally blew my mind when at the seminar she brought everybody and was able to get everybody. It's almost, in a sense, it's very similar to channeling, but instead of her channeling a being, she was able to have everybody in the audience go into their own altered state and connect with their own Akash. And then she was just more of a facilitator of accessing each individual's Akashic records, if that makes sense.
Well, okay, and there's I want to discuss who she is, though, because that's a very important part of this. When I started to see her speak, I immediately went, okay, wait a minute here. She has got an ability of communication. There is a connection of verbiage, and she's also very theatrical. Not theatrical in flamboyant, in presentation. She's very skilled. Yep. She's very skilled in media. And that's what hit me. And then I found out who she is. And that was an interesting twist in who is Emily Harrison. What did she do up until the Akash?
Right. Well, as far as I know, she's a very accomplished actress and has been in several films and television, and doing the Hollywood thing, as I'm familiar with as well. So we share that connection, and then I guess similar to my story, she had a sort of a few profound events in her life that course corrected her onto this path she is on now with the Akashic Academy and the work she's doing with that. And I think a lot of us actors, if you go back into my series, there's many, Lee Harris, Nora Harold, Lee Mikulski, there's a lot of channelers and a lot of people tapping into these other realities are actors. And I think there is a certain self-hypnosis that us actors, just as I was saying, I was doing the gibberish and just in an improv class, and then a lot of people would say, well, it's all acting then, and I'm like, well, in a sense, but it's more about the tools that we received as actors to play different roles has given us the ability, I should say more so them, I understand it because I'm an actor, I understand the mechanics. I don't channel myself. I have channeled, but not publicly in that sense. But as actors, we are able to sort of tap into these other dimensions and these other characters a little bit easier than, let's say, someone who hasn't had that training or background. Well,
Bashar Daralenka is another example of that. But when you see Emily, she you find out, you can go look when you look at her IMDb page. She had a great career going. Everything stopped, and she went in this other direction. She walked away from Hollywood, moved from Hollywood, and is fully engaged in this community. But when you see her, you realize that she can go back to acting tomorrow, and she would be great. She would be a great actor because she's got the look and she's got the gift, right? But she has chosen to walk away from that, and that's incredible. What was that profound moment in her life?
I don't know if we specifically got into the exact moment. It seemed like in her interview, she talked about how she was connecting with like her neighbor's dead dad or dad who had passed, and was able to bring through some messages for him and confirmations that she was able to confirm that what she was talking to or experiencing was an actual real entity. And I guess she had experienced an Akashic reading like way back earlier in her career, and that really resonated. So she as she was realizing she had these gifts, she reached into her book of what she had experienced in the past, and the Akashic thing stood out. So then she dove into that, and I think she went and did some courses, and I'm not familiar with the exact amount of her training in what she, who she trained under and that kind of thing. But what I do know is she does have a gift to tap into the Akashic and help people tap into their Akashic. And have you talked about the Akashic records and what it is on your show?
So much so, and I've been fascinated with it. I have interviewed so many different people about it that I think in a general sense, there is an understanding about it being a constantly updated record of you individually, of the past, present, and infinite futures. And I've always tried to visualize how that is possible. I'm picturing on the other side rows of filing cabinets, right? Or like a giant Amazon server room, right? I mean, it has to be something like that. And she talks about that in the interview, in which I thought was a very interesting way. She said it used to be physical. Akashic records were here on this planet. And I remember you going, I don't want to give everybody go and watch the interview, but your reaction to that was like, what? Right?
Yeah, I'd never heard that.
Yeah, I had never heard that either. And then, and this is where we can dovetail a little bit and segue into crystal skulls, because that's what she said, that the Akashic records were stored in crystals.
Right. Yep. And that's again, talking about the synchronicities of my journey with the Skull Project and with these interviews. And we were, my good buddy and co-director of the Skull film, Steve Copeland, and I were doing the massive road trip with Bill Homan and the Mitchell Hedges Crystal Skull. And we were traveling, we traveled from New Mexico up to Indiana and across over to Shasta. And we were stopping along the way at all these different spots that I had set up interviews to do for the show. And Emily was right along the way. So I was like, hey, Emily, we're going to stop in and do an interview. You're in Reno, right? And we had talked about it like a year prior. And I said, well, we're driving through. By the way, we're traveling with Bill and the Skull. And, can we hang out? And she's like, yeah, come on over. From filming the show and filming this documentary feature that we're still working on with Bill, it's come to my attention and to my knowledge, and the consensus is sort of this, is that these ancient crystal skulls hold the information prior to Atlantis and our true history of the Earth. And we're finding out, if you listen to Jimmy Church, you find out we're not in the history that we are normally used to. It's developing, and more people are tuning in through different modalities, whether it's the Akash or through actual having conversations with crystal skulls, or as psychics, dreams, talking to the ETs. They're all telling us this. All of these different modalities are telling us the same story, that we are a much older civilization than we've been told, that we that there was a fall either 13,000 years ago or 26,000 years ago. There was these different cycles. The precession of the equinox, the zodiac, the signs going through this 26,000-year cycle. And it seems that we went into a darker phase after the fall of Atlantis, where we forgot, many of us were separated, and we forgot our true history. And it seems prior to that, we may have been much more advanced than most of us think. And that's all coming through this exploration in the crystal skull and the Akash and the show and everything else.
Now let's talk about the Akash. We're going to come back to crystal skulls when we start talking about Phoenix after the break, and we'll talk more about Mitchell Hedges. Oh, by the way, I had the coolest butt dial last week from somebody. Bill Holman.
He butt dialed you?
Yeah. And, okay, that's another story. But it was pretty cool though. That's pretty cool. That's the universe though. That's the universe. Never ignore a butt dial, especially when it comes to Bill Holman. Pick that sucker up quick. How is your belief system in the Akash changed and morphed too as well? Just like light language and some of these, and channeling, there's a belief system that you have to let go of. You have to go into this a certain way. And how have you changed with the Akash?
Well, it was mostly my understanding of what it was. I don't think I fully understood it. I still don't think I fully understand it. But Emily really showed me, as far as the use cases for it, and how, why is it why is it a tool that we can use for our evolution, and how to access that. I always thought that was just something like ETs did, or, Akashic readers, and I didn't think it was something that the average Joe could do. The individual, right. The individual. And just like with channeling, and just like with C5 or calling in the ETs, it's really anybody can do this stuff. And it's just about, finding a good teacher, and Emily's a good teacher for that. And having the right tools to access it. But all of this stuff seems really far out there until you actually, get in there and start doing it. And I had an Akashic reading, which it might be some bonus content that I'll release later. We did a private session with Emily, and she did a reading for me, or helped me access my Akashic records. And it's fascinating that we have these abilities. And I think, going back to the Atlantis thing, I think prior to Atlantis, this is, and it came up in the interview as well, this is what we all sort of it was like the normal day of life. This is one of the tools that we all had, and we all remembered, and we could all access it. And over time, we've forgotten these modalities. And I think because the cycle's coming around again, the energy on the planet is rising. We're able to remember and re-access these lost abilities.
There's another part to this, and you can do this in a future episode. I'm giving you the rights to this now. But okay. It's this. One of the things that science and physicists talk about today more and more is Akash totally, is that information is never lost. Mm-hmm. Information is never lost. Whatever, man, dumps into a black hole and it gets spaghettified, the information is still there. And it's like, wait a minute, what are you suggesting? And it's a hard thing. This is science discussing this, Reuben. Mm-hmm. And so it's very hard for average people to fully grasp what they are suggesting here. But information is never lost. It lasts forever. And it goes, I think it dovetails nicely into the Akashic Records and what it actually represents. I think the two, science and consciousness, here are talking about the same thing.
Well, it's like the law of thermodynamics. Matter cannot be destroyed; it can only be transferred or transformed into different states. So, in that sense, too, yeah, it's the very same information, matter. It changes form, but forever exists. For forever and ever. It's that dovetails into my whole time travel speech, which we could do someday. But
I know what is it? No, I want your time travel speech now. What is it?
Well, in a nutshell, I usually pull out the graphs and do a thing on the wall and stuff. But and essentially, so I don't believe it's possible to ever time travel to, let's say, if we go back in time and visit ourselves. We then create a paradox, a new timeline. I don't think it's possible to ever to be on the same timeline unless, let's say, my future version of myself walks in the room right now, and then I continue on this timeline, and then I actually go back into that exact same moment where I came into the room. Otherwise, if we were to go back and visit ourselves in the past, versions of ourselves that we remember, we would then create a new timeline. It would be a totally new experience, a totally new version of myself, my past self and my future self, then converging in this new timeline that then would go on in its own sort of fork. There's a lot of real science behind these ideas as well, and it's just from downloads and experiences. I was very curious about how time worked and did a lot of shamanic work on this, and I sort of got visions and downloads and different things. But I don't think we'll ever have like these different versions of ETs that are coming to visit us that so-called are from the future. We're creating new versions, new timelines with every encounter, with every visit. And it's a new data set that then splinters off into its own separate timeline, separate from perhaps something that could exist that we would remember. So a lot of the time travel movies I have a hard time watching because I don't think they're very accurate. Probably the closest one would be the Avengers that I've seen. And that's still, in my opinion, way off.
You're talking about Endgame?
Endgame, yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was a pretty interesting approach to time travel. I look at it differently. I've got a lot of different views on it, but I think it's actually more simple. I think if we take out the grandfather paradox, take out all of it, like you're saying, to creating a new timeline, I don't think any of that happens. No. You time travel back to the past, you disappear in the now, you're gone, and you appear in the past next to your younger self, or maybe before then. It doesn't matter. You're just another person there. It's not going to matter. There's no interaction. If you go and kill yourself in the past, then it's going to alter the. No, I think it's also. I think it's much more simple than that. I think it's just like living now. You're not going to see any drastic changes.
I agree. That's what I kind of meant by this new timeline, is that it would just be its own thing, and the future version of yourself is not going to disappear or whatever. You're not going to disappear from that reality. And yeah, it's again, we kind of need a graph and a thing to.
Right.
It's a big subject to get into, but
I tell you what, it does explain your version of this, and kind of my version. Your version would fully explain the Mandela effect.
Yeah, exactly.
100% explain it.
Exactly. That's one of the actual data sets that I used to come up with this version of how time works is the Mandela effect, because we have that as a data set that we can cross-reference physics and everything else. But and we're constantly moving our now moment, like in Bashar and others talk about this, where we are now at every second, every moment. We're recreating ourselves in vibrating at a certain vibratory rate, and we are a vibratory match for the future and the past. So it's constantly in flux. Like what we experience, what we will experience in the future, 10 years from now.
Oh, Elon Musk just stepped in. Elon Musk fully. Yep. It's now reconnecting. Starlink just reared its ugly head, and so Starlink just reared its ugly head. Okay, so repeat that. No, you're good. You're good. You're good. You're good. Oh, can you not hear me? Uh-oh. Reuben, can you hear me? Okay, Reuben cannot hear me. So, which means I'm going to take a break right here. Let's get this in. We are right here. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Reuben Langdon on Starlink. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB, VX.
Are you ready to read about true paranormal events? UNX Media publishes non-fiction books about UFOs, ghosts and haunted places, time anomalies, cryptid creatures, and more. Just like KUNX-DB Radio, it's all about unexplained phenomena. Visit www.unxmedia.com to see our list of great book titles by Debbie Ziegelmeyer, Gene Walker, Devin Listrom, Wayne Lawrence, Bill Spicer, and yours truly, Margie Kay. That's unxmedia.com.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to GetTheT.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's GetTheT.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon Coffee banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard. Available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
Gold loves chaos, uncertainty, and disarray. History shows us what gold does when people aren't sure about the government, the stock market, their jobs, or their retirement savings. Our national debt is skyrocketing. Gold and other precious metals are a defense measure against inflation and a stock market that might take years to recover. So what can you do right now to protect yourself? Call United Gold Group. We offer gold and other precious metals delivered securely within 72 hours. Are you worried about about the stock market? We can also help you set up a real gold or silver IRA or a 401k. Safe and secure. United Gold Group makes gold ownership affordable. Call now and get up to $2,500 in free gold or silver with a qualified IRA. Call 800-753-8534. That's 800-753-8534 or visit UnitedGoldGroup.com.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Reuben Langdon is here. Our first show of 2022. We've got an amazing week coming up. Tomorrow night, Don Schmidt is back. Wednesday night, Chad Kalick is here. His new film, 74 Minutes. And then Thursday night, Linda Moulton Howe. Great week coming up on Fade to Black. Tonight, it's Reuben Langdon, and who just texted Elon Musk during the break and got things. You know, it's pretty cool that you've got him on speed dial, and you can just
you know it's
you and Elon, right? You guys are like this.
Exactly.
So I want to. We were just talking about timelines right before the break when you had the Starlink interruption. You want to finish that thought?
Yeah. So a lot of people think that the past is not that fluid, and from my understanding of how time works, is we are constantly in flux, in a vibrational frequency flux in the now moment, because that's all that really exists.
Right.
The past is just as much as an illusion as the future. We have the illusion that the past is real because of our experiences, and the experience is real, but the actual physics of the past is actually no more real than the future.
Yeah, the past is a memory. That's it.
It's a memory, and the future is also a potential memory. It's a projection of.
Yes, is a thought. It's an interesting dynamic. I watched Sean Carroll speak about time once, and he got all deep. But there was one thing that he said that just freaked me out. He goes, "The past just happened. It's right here, right? It's a nanosecond behind us, but it's gone. You can remember it, but the now is always now. The past is always happening." And it's just great. No matter how close the past is, right? I mean, right? But that's it. You can't even go back a nanosecond. That's it. Yep. It's always moving back.
You can't touch it. You can't feel it. You can't do anything. It already happened. And so with that sort of logic, when we look back into the Akash, or we look into our the future and the past, and anything we do in our lives, we can only experience what we're a vibrational match for what we are now. So we are shifting timelines in a sense. To use words, I don't think it's exactly in that context. I think it's more advanced, and I don't think we have the language for it just yet. But we're, in a sense, shifting timelines, and therefore getting different versions of the past, or we have access to different versions of the past or the future. In a sense, it's easier for people to think, potential future timelines that we can jump around on. But that same thing is happening in the past. We're shifting timelines, and there's a consensus timeline that we all agreed on up until a few years ago, and then we're like, screw that, let's go let's talk about Atlantis and Lemuria and Crystal Skulls and other things, because that's way more interesting. And I think as we collectively, as a consensus, we start to move in that direction, then in a sense we move to a past timeline where all that stuff did exist, Antarctica, pyramids, and all that stuff.
Right.
So what we're collectively doing is moving back into that timeline where for some of us it always existed, for some of us it didn't. But as we collectively and going back into the mass psychosis ideas, as long as we're all drinking the same Kool-Aid, it's real. And I think for many of us on the planet now to remember and have access to these, many people are having access to these memories, but to consciously move in that direction of a past that's way more interesting and way deeper than anything else we've been told until now is just a lot more fun, a lot more expansive, and we can learn a lot more because there's lessons there in those stories of Atlantis and Lemuria, and how did they fall? Why did they fall? What is this grand experiment that we're doing here on Earth? When we step into these stories, we can learn the lessons and apply them to who we are now, and then navigate this reality a little bit better. And that's why we're choosing to move in that direction.
Yeah, and a lot of the alternate parts of history are folklore, mythology. That's the way it's looked at today. There is going to be something that is going to happen, that is going to be discovered, that's going to tip everything over. I don't know what that. I thought that Göbekli Tepe was enough, right, to rewrite history.
Sure.
And it's really funny how Göbekli Tepe, as significant of a site at 7,000 years older than Giza, wasn't supposed to exist, that would be enough to start changing the conversation, and it wasn't. Historians just would rather choose to ignore Göbekli Tepe and forcing into rewriting history. But there's going to be something else, man. Something else is going to happen, and
I think in the coming years everything is going to be. I mean, already things have sort of been flipped upside down for a lot of people. I think 2022 is really going to be a big eye opener for in the sense of the woo, or these other ideas of what is reality are going to start leaking in and pouring into the mass consciousness, and we're going to have some big revelations. I mean, already look at 2021 with all the UFO stuff.
Yep.
And if we combine that, let's say we get a big event in Antarctica, something, a picture or already if some of us are seeing pictures, we don't know if they're real or not, but we have world elites taking, trips. They're tweeting out on their Twitter that they're going to Antarctica to go watch the eclipse. And you're like, who goes to Antarctica to watch an eclipse? Okay, what's going on over there? So there's all kinds of silliness going on, and people are kind of figuring it out. And I think we're just going to move more and more into allowing. What happens is as people sort of as their realities are getting stirred up and mixed up through all the events that are happening on the planet these days, it's massaging the brain for many people. So the possibilities of what is possible are now starting to sort of leak into the collective consciousness. And that's what's exciting is because now we can have a conversation about UFOs with almost anybody, an intelligent conversation, and not ridicule it and laugh at it. And then, start going into other things. 2 years ago, you told people that there's a world conglomerate of network of people trying to take over the world and turn us all into
compliant zombies.
Compliant zombies. Then no, you're like, what? But now you say that and you're like, absolutely.
Yep, that part's real. And it's so funny to me that if disclosure keeps doing what it's doing, and I'm very excited about where we are with that, but let's just say E.T. shows up and starts having a conversation. It says, a couple of, oh, by the way, Sitchin was right? Or by the way, we built Atlantis. That there's going to be something, and force the world. Would they freak out? Maybe, but I think that some will. But I think that a lot of the world has heard and seen through Hollywood and through books and through conversations and TV shows these alternate theories that I don't think it's going to be that big of a shock. We will be forced into having a different conversation, but I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of surprise going down.
Especially now, as the sort of the media machine is getting broken up, and people are not taking it as seriously, and people are doing their own research, and they're tuning into alternative shows like yours, and they're getting different perspectives. So in a sense, a lot of people are kind of doing their own homework and getting prepared for not necessarily a government disclosure, but for an ET showing up in their backyard or, in their neighborhood, and them having that personal experience, and then it being more palatable and realistic than if they got it on the news. Because I think if we had anything coming from, even if it was a legitimate Pentagon disclosure, of let's say Joe Biden having dinner with an ET, I think most people would just turn the TV off and say, this is crap. This is not.
It's fake news.
I don't think that would ever happen. But if it did, I think people would sort of say, this is fake news. I'm turning this off. And that's good. I think that's a good thing, that because for too long we have been buying the stories dished out to us from the mainstream media and the collective media machine, and it's really awesome to see people disconnecting. I just saw a thing today. Joe Rogan's audience is almost all of the mainstream media audiences combined. He outperforms them all, and that's a testament to show where people are at with their how they get the news and what they believe is real, and what they where they're going with all this. So it was actually refreshing to see that people are tuning out the mainstream narratives and going more into doing their own research.
Well, and we're also selective in what we believe with the media, right?
That's true.
And this, right? Totally selective in that we can sit here all day long, and I do. Fox is full of crap, CNN's full of crap, BBC, whatever. You take the media, whatever it is, flip it over 180 degrees, and you'll be closer to the truth. But when they talk about UFOs, we're okay with that. Suddenly they're telling us the truth. It's like, wait a minute here.
I don't know. I'm not really okay with that.
You understand, but you understand what I'm saying. Oh, Elon Musk. Elon Musk just stepped in. I'm going to take a picture of this frozen screen because oh, okay, you're back. You're back. I wanted to take a picture of your face because your face frozen was just absolutely, but you came back. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Saved.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. It was like Sam Kinison at the Roxy. You had that Sam Kinison face. But yeah, we're very selective in what we choose to. Either the media is always wrong and is lying to you, or they are always right. But you can't watch the same media outlet and say some of this is true and some of this isn't, and then be selective, because that's what we're doing these days.
It's very hard these days. In a sense, you do have to be selective. My recommendation is just listen to Jimmy Church. Don't listen to anybody else.
You are spot on the money. I don't. You know what's funny? I haven't had a live news feed in front of my face, like live news feed, for probably 2 years. 2 years. Since the riots in L.A., right? Or, whatever,
right,
BLM
okay.
and all of that stuff.
Right.
Okay, I need to know if I've got, 100,000 people marching into my neighborhood. So, yeah, I kind of need to see that live. But other than that, there are no live news feeds. I select what I want to find out about. I click on it, right? That's it. Other than that, I don't monitor the news. I don't do any live news feeds, which takes us actually. I want to get into Phoenix, and now Phoenix is. I'm going to go with the stage name. It's a stage name. And she is also a singer, and she had a stage name there too as well. A very successful record and stuff. But she's. How does she define herself? Is shaman the right word?
Yeah, that's I asked her that too, because she covers quite a bit with her work. She's channels, she does healings or assisted healings with people. In a sense, she also taps into the Akashic. She has that ability too. So she covers quite a bit, and I asked her, well, how do you define yourself? And she said, I'm not supposed to say I'm a shaman because shamans don't say that. But I guess if you were to put a label on me, I'll take the sort of the shamanic shaman label, which is kind of cool because that's up to interpretation as well. That depending on your experience in different groups, there's shamanic healers in many different indigenous cultures, and they kind of carry a different set of responsibilities and depending on the tribe and the culture and the group, but overall they tend to be healers of some sort, and I think that's the role she's trying to or she's stepping into is assisted healing for using these abilities to tap into other dimensional realms, whether it's channeling or Akashic readings or even bringing through music, healing modalities through music, and in a typical sense, like a shamanic healer. Often, many of the ceremonial aspects of those shamans, they bring in music and vibration and sound healings.
Now, I don't know what people's images are of a shaman or a light worker or whatever you've got up here. She is an unbelievably dynamic looking person. She's beautiful, but she is the last person that you would think would be a shaman.
Yeah.
No, I did say that because and let me tell you why it hit me like that. At the beginning, everybody go watch it. It's I think the episode's called Phoenix, right?
Yeah, Phoenix Rising.
Oh yeah, Phoenix Rising. And so anyway, she shot from. You see her walking up in the mountains, but you don't see her. You see her back, you see, things, and just from a distance. And then, boom, you guys are sitting down, and it was amazing that, again, you have, just like Emily Harrison, right, and just like Rika, this would be the last person that you would expect to see on the screen speaking about these subjects. It was unbelievably great. And there's Elon Musk.
See me.
Yeah,
there's
you go.
Elon. He's definitely gonna get a
but she
call
would be.
after this.
She's the last person that you expect to see on the screen.
Yeah, and I think that's why for my show I kind of find it interesting to seek out these people, or I shouldn't say seek them out, but they kind of just through coincidence happen. But I like to pick the people that you would just normally think. There's a lot of people that have these extraordinary experiences and abilities that are just people you would see at the grocery store, or going out and about. And with Phoenix, I was introduced to Phoenix when we started the the skull journey with Bill, and someone introduced us and said, she's connected with Bill and the skull, and then we met her first through that connection, and we were interviewing her for the film, and then I've just found so much about her, and I was like, man, you're fascinating. We got to get you on the show and talk about the Lyran energy that she brought through, and what was going on. And that was my first interview I did after or during COVID. So it was a very interesting energy just in that sense alone too, because we were only a couple months in at that time, and some of the lessons and things that we're still learning today, but at that time it was still we didn't have as much data as we have now, and we didn't know where it was all going to go, and it was really interesting. So I don't know, like I said, the synchronicities, I just let it fall into place, and then I meet these fascinating people, and they've got these amazing gifts and abilities, and I just let it come through.
Sad, 5, 6, 7 years ago, she's got a hit record in a very very cool genre. I would say cool jazz, adult jazz. Very accomplished singer. And so after the interview, I went back and listened to a bunch of her music and watched some videos, and seeing who she is today, this is all new, right, with her, in that, and just like Emily Harrison, this is something that she has not been doing for 35, 40 years. This is a transformation that happened in the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, so that's what I've noticed too since starting the show. It was really, I had to do a little more digging and seek out the channelers and seek out the people who had these abilities. And it seems this past couple of years, it's really been amping up.
Right.
People have been activated. There's many people I'm talking to who show, and they say, hey, I saw your show. I just started having these experiences, and I thought I was going nuts. And I'm getting all this information, and I'm talking to this person, or this, angel, or this ET, or this, entity, and I don't know what's going on. But your show helped me find context and perspective, and every day I get those messages, and it's really been ramping up since 2020, a little like 2019. I think a lot of people have been activated and are getting a lot of information, probably because we are going through this transformation right now. It is this major shift in the human consciousness. But I think I have a theory that a lot of these people are Trojan horses in a sense.
Yes.
That have been sent here. Dolores Cannon's work talks about this, about the different waves, the first wave, second wave, third wave. Maybe we're on the fourth or fifth wave now. And I think they are being activated specifically at this time on purpose to help move us into this new reality where
I've
the
heard,
woo is more accepted.
Yeah. And before we get to the break, by the way, we're going to do overtime because we have to get into Mitchell Hedges, and we haven't done that yet. But there's one common thread woven through all of these different subjects that you've interviewed. They all said the same thing. I thought I was going crazy. I didn't know what was going on. I knew nothing about this world. And these things were happening, and I had to go and chase it down and get my own answers. Isn't that fascinating to you, how you hear this over and over again? Absolutely. That and then the reasoning behind it, and like I was saying, if you watch the show from season 1 back in 2015, it's talked about we're going through this major transformation on planet Earth. And at the time, in real time, I was like, okay, yeah, we're in the middle of it, not knowing years later we're going to be right.
Really
the real middle of it is about to happen. Yes.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I know many people may not want to hear this, but they're saying, the ones that I continue to tune into and the messages I keep getting is, we're just getting started. Like this is only 2020. If we thought 2021 was a doozy, 2022 is going to be, it's going to make 2021 look like nothing. And that is not in a bad sense that, oh my God, the world's going to end or anything like that. It's because for so long humanity has been under this spell, and not knowing our true history, not knowing our true abilities, not knowing what we've always had access to, but we have forgotten we had access to, and now we're coming into this light. Literally, new light is coming onto the planet that hasn't been here for several thousand years, and in doing so, it's shaking up the old structures, right? It's shaking up the what we've all been used to. And it can be painful to give birth, in a sense. That's what's happening, is humanity is giving birth to a new version of itself, and that can be, it doesn't have to be. In fact, Z Earthstar, who's in my show, she's just got a new program she's doing about orgasmic birthing, well, I had to say it because we can give birth in a very painful sense, or we can do it orgasmically. Why not choose the orgasmic way to do it? And you can watch my episode. We get into that.
Yeah, I think Sting talked about that quite a bit, but that's a whole nother show. So before we get to the break. That is one of the things that I've heard over and over, but it is in season 3, is that, we've had a shock to the system, 2020, shock to the system, 2021. Yep. We're going to have another shock to the system in 2022, but it's not going to be what you think. But it will be a shock to the system, just like we went through in the last 2 years. I'm excited about it, man. Let's see. I
am too. It's gonna be a shock for those, I think, for our world, because we're talking about the woo every day, and this is kind of who we are. I think it's not going to be a shock, but imagine ourselves. Let's say I'm imagining myself back, Reuben Langdon, 2007, before I saw those UFOs. Mm-hmm. That was a shock to the system. Mm-hmm. So imagine, hundreds of thousands, millions of people having that kind of shock initially. Then we've had several shock moments over the years in our coming to the awareness of this information. So the rest of the world coming onto this information may not be, that we've had a lot of time to process it and to sort of, figure it out on ourselves in our own times, and, talk to other people about it. And it's been a very slow, long, drawn out process for many of us. Some of us, it's been a little more dramatic than others. But imagine all of humanity going through this process that we've been through already in a very short amount of time. And that's why it can be shocking, disruptive. It could be not for everybody, but for some people, or maybe the majority of humanity, it could be a little rough around the edges.
Yeah, to me, I call it exciting. To the rest of the world, it's going to be the rest of the world. It's going to be WTF. Let's let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, Reuben Langdon. When we come back, we're going to talk crystal skulls. I am your host, Jimmy Church. He's been working on this Mitchell Hedges documentary for about 25 years. So we will see where we are when we come back, and if there's a place for me. Our guest tonight, Reuben Langdon. We'll be right back.
Listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
Hey, what up, up, y'all? It's your girl Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church, and I personally invite you to the 2022 Conscious Life Expo this February 4th through the 7th, live at the LAX Hilton in Los Angeles, California. This year, we have the most exciting speakers, including Linda Moulton Howe, Jacques Vallée, Whitley Strieber, Adam Apollo, Billy Carson, Daryl Anka and Bashar, William Henry, Caroline Corey, Susan Slaughter, Daniel Brinkley, Sarah Breskman-Cosme, George Norrie, Gail Thackeray, and many, many more. I will be hosting all weekend long, including the keynote Ancient Secrets panel on Friday night, 5 vendor and exhibit halls, 3 floors of speakers, panels, and celebration. This is the biggest event of the year, and early bird passes are available now. Just go to ConsciousLifeExpo.com for the schedule, speakers, and information. That's ConsciousLifeExpo.com. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Are you ready to read about true paranormal events? Unex Media publishes nonfiction books about UFOs, ghosts and haunted places, time anomalies, cryptid creatures, and more. Just like KUNXDB Radio, it's all about unexplained phenomena. Visit www.unxmedia.com to see our list of great book titles by Debbie Ziegelmeyer, Gene Walker, Devin Listrom, Wayne Lawrence, Bill Spicer, and yours truly, Margie Kay. That's unxmedia.com.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2B Blend for 15% off of your order today.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30 days free on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
This is Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Oh, is that right? Okay. I'm getting text coming in from Elon as we do this. It's overtime here on Fade to Black with Reuben Langdon, and we're going to talk crystal skulls. Before we get started, just really briefly, Reuben, who are the other Beatles involved with Interview with Ed? Who does the music? Who does the graphics? I know you don't do everything by yourself.
Yeah, so season 3 is really cool. A good buddy of mine who's become a good buddy of mine, Zach Myers. He was a fan of season 1. Reached out to me. I guess the show had a big influence on his life and or impact. Especially the Treb, the reptilian, channeled by Rob Gauthier, and he reached out and said he liked the show, and we became good friends. We were talking about different projects he was doing, and then over the past couple of years, he actually volunteered and said, "Hey, I'd love to do the music for season 3." And I said, "Oh man, that's awesome." He's a very not well known because he ghost writes for a lot of well-known artists, and but you would know his material if you heard it, and he came up with this cool Fibonacci-based math sequence that he scores all of the music for season 3 for. So each opening sequence has a unique track that he created using this math sequence based on the Fibonacci. We do an episode later, it'll come out, where he actually talks about how he does it and everything, but it's kind of extra dimensional music.
Whoa, check this out. We're talking crystal skulls and Fibonacci music. Here's my Fibonacci crystal skull. I'm holding this up to the camera so everybody can see it. Look at it real close. Look at that. That's a Fibonacci crystal skull. Here, I'll hold it up. Check it out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah, how crazy.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Horribly expensive.
I've never seen that.
Horribly expensive. So, crystal skulls. Do you have a crystal skull around you right now?
I got a couple here, yeah.
Okay, grab one.
There's... I've got some others in the other room, but some tiny ones. I got the alien version here.
Yep. That's cool. That yeah, I've got some of those.
Got this guy here. He's got kind of
that is
open
cool.
Head.
Yeah, that is cool. So I've got here's your traditional crystal skull. This is Jose. And here, I'm holding this up for you.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, crystal clear. And he named himself in my head, said, "My name is Jose." And so that's Jose. And check this out.
Oh, wow.
Look at, this, I just got this from Carolyn Ford. And Ocean Mist, and absolutely, that's cool too. Yeah, look at it.
Yeah, it's a small one.
Yeah,
smaller size, but kind of similar to the color. What is that one made of?
This is blue. Blue. Oh man, I don't want to get this wrong. Blue anodite. Anodite. I'll look it up, but heavy. Yeah. This is 8 pounds. That dude right there is 8 pounds. Here's enough. This is enough. I want to talk crystal skulls, but look at this dude. Oh man, there you go. Elon Musk jumping in, and there you go. Okay, I've got. Hang on. I've got Reuben back, and. So funny. Obsidian, obviously.
Oh wow!
Yeah, just an incredible skull. Okay, so the power of crystal skulls is something that can't be ignored, and I stumbled into a couple of reasons to take them very, very, very serious. And all of my experiences have been positive, but the power of crystals, and then you combine that into the skull form, and there's something going on When you did you know about the history of the Mitchell Hedges skull before you got involved?
Had no idea. This journey for me started with a dream. I was in Japan, and this was right after I had gotten back from Guatemala. I was down there with co-director of the film, the Crystal Skull film, and director of Vision Shift of Ages is a documentary film that my good buddy and partner Steve Copeland directed about the Mayan 2012 shift, and he wanted to do a follow-up film with that, and we traveled down to Guatemala and had met with Tata, the Mayan elder, the main Mayan elder down there, and we brought Chief Phil Lang, who was of the Dakota tribe, an elder, sort of representing the North American eagle, and we wanted to have this sort of eagle condor connection and do a follow-up with Shift of the Ages. Anyways, we went down there. It was chaotic. It was crazy. We ended up getting shot at. I don't know if you ever heard that story.
No.
I told you that. We at point blank, a guy ran up to a car and just unloaded a clip into the car, and bullet holes riddled the car, and one landed in the back of my seat, and a little plate took the blunt of the blow and saved my life. This metal plate, and it was pretty crazy, and there was some PTSD after that. But we escaped thanks to Steve's driving, and getting the back streets of Guatemala City. Anyways, it was crazy times. And anyways, I had just gotten back from that trip, just a couple weeks in from that traumatic experience, and I was in Japan, and I had this crazy dream, super vivid, where there's a bunch of stuff happened, but I was looking over a cliff, and this UFO came flying at me, and in the dream I thought it was real. It was very lucid, and I was like, yes, here it is. I was so excited, like it's finally happening. And then it comes right up to where I was with some other people, and we're standing there, and I was like waiting for the alien to come out and give us a big hug or whatever, high five. And I was super excited, and then it projected this holographic image of a skull. And in the dream, I was like Big Debbie Downer, because I was like, what? I was expecting an ET or some kind of, intergalactic, hug or something like that. And there was this skull, and I was like, what? And at the time, I guess the dream, I was talking in my sleep or something, and my wife wakes me up. She's like, are you okay? Because and I was like, what? I didn't even know. It took me a while to get my senses, because I was like, I didn't even realize I was dreaming. It just felt so real. So I jotted that down and logged that in the book, because it was just so profound. And then a few weeks later, I was back in America. Steve and I were traveling to do an episode for Interview Fed Season 2, and we were going to interview Gita Rose, and she channels a Sasani being, or a Yael being Bella, and it was, we sort of coordinated the same weekend that Daryl was having an event in Daryl Inca was having an event in Oakland, and I didn't even look up really what the event was about or anything, but as we were driving up there, realized that the whole event was going to be around the Mitchell Hedges Crystal Skull, and Bill Holman was going to be the main guest, and they were going to be talking about it. And at that time, I didn't have any reference points or backgrounds about crystal skulls. And I was like, that's kind of weird. I had that dream about the skull and ET, and it came out of this ET thing. And I was like, just kind of, Steve and I were just kind of laughing about it. And then we went to the event, and it was synchronicity upon synchronicity. It was just crazy. Gita was like on, we call it skullwaska, is when people sit in front of the skulls and they go, it's almost like they're on ayahuasca, different depending on the person, But we've seen and recorded many, and this is in our film, many people going into these crazy trance sequences, and stuff is pouring out of them. They're either crying or laughing or different words flying out of their mouth, and they're just like, light language. We've had spontaneous light language coming in a lot. So all that happened, and we're like, whoa. And then Steve and I were, we did our interview and we're driving back. And we're like, man, we got to do something about this. What is this whole skull thing? This is crazy. And then Steve was reminiscing on the connections that Tata and the Mayan elders had with the skulls. And we were just like, man, this is just weird. We're like, well, maybe we should do something. We should probably pursue this. And I was like, well, how do we get in touch with Bill? That's where we should start. And then a week later, good buddy of mine, Mark Ginther, he's the stunt coordinator for movies like Han Solo and the new Zhang-Chi, the new Marvel film.
Amazing movie.
And he calls me up out of the blue and he goes, hey, Reuben, we worked together on Avatar for many years and got to know him really well. And we worked together on Ant-Man. And he calls me up out of the blue and he goes, hey, Reuben, I wanted to connect you with my cousin. He's into a lot of the kind of things you're into, and I think you guys would get along really well. His name's Bill Holman. Here's his number. And I was like, okay, I guess the universe wants us to do something with Bill. And then I called Bill up and told him, he's like, yeah, I'll be in LA in a few weeks. Let's meet up. And then we talked, and then it was just from there. It's just been this wild journey of trying to figure out the story that we thought we knew, but it's just developing constantly. We've been following Bill around, for a couple of years now, and it's coming together. We've got a few more shoot sessions scheduled, and it's phenomenal. Bill himself is quite the character, and I think we're sort of using the film to tell his story, to ground in, like he's just a human like us all, but he's been gifted. Is probably not the right word, but coincidentally, he's been handed this responsibility, which he owns, and he takes it to be the keeper of this skull, and to do the work he does with it that he learned from Anna Mitchell Hedges is just phenomenal. Because there's other skulls in the museums and stuff, or in private collections, and he has chosen not to go that route, and he takes it around and has these sessions with people, and he's sort of guided, and he's also guided to take it to different power spots or ley lines across America and the world.
Have you done when he was in LA, what you're speaking about there? That's when I met up with Bill and had my own session, and I was able to privately hang out. I probably spent about a half hour with the skull, but it took some amazing pictures too as well. But have you? I'll talk about my experience in a second. Have you had a session with the Mitchell Hedges?
I actually have not. Part of me, I know it's part of it sounds crazy. Part of me, and Steve too. He's gotten a blast from the skull. One time we were filming last spring, and he said it was across the room, and the skull just like blasted him with this energy, and he like nearly fell over. I personally have not actually felt anything from the skull.
Really?
Really?
And you've been alone. You've been alone with the Mitchell Hedges.
Well, I mean, we've been traveling with it. I don't know if I've been. Yeah, I guess I've been alone with it.
And no vibes.
Yeah, I think I have.
And no vibes. Okay.
Well,
okay.
I don't. I'm not really looking for it. I kind of have a little block up.
Okay. Well, when you least expect it, brother, let me tell you. Okay. So, but you've seen other crystal skulls.
Yes.
You have some.
Yeah. Yeah.
isn't it one of the most amazing artifacts to look at in its clarity and perfection?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, visually, there's nothing like it on the planet. It's an amazing. We had our last film session. We were in Indiana, and Bill let us. We pulled an all-nighter doing some really intricate filming of close-ups, and we had this one of our filming buddies, Lucas. He had this awesome lens that was able to get really into it and go at the micro level, and it's beautiful. We shine lights in it, and it just there's no picture the same as another. Every time the light hits it, and it reflects in a different way. And it does pull you in visually for sure. I mean, I know emotionally it does too for everybody else. I don't think I've allowed myself to go there yet because I want to kind of have this objective stance as I'm filming this documentary. I don't want to get sucked in just yet, even though I'm already sucked in. Totally.
Right.
But it is visually, it is one of the most beautiful artifacts ever.
It's perfect. There's a thing about it that says I am perfect, and the skull's not telling you that. Your eyeballs are telling you that. But there was one thing that I'll share with you is from the back or from the front, when you're in the center, there is two colors in the brain. And you can see it, right? So there's like this pink side and this blue side, and
it's got two hemispheres.
Yeah, two hemispheres, and you're looking at it, and just as you think it's a play, it's a light thing. It's the way. No, you can walk and you can see inside of this that there are two definite information sectors. There's one thing and it's the same piece of crystal, right? It's not two pieces of crystal. It's one piece, and you can see this blue side and this pink side, very definite, and it's unbelievable to see and to witness this, and then to how do I consciously appreciate that at that moment, and there is a communication that goes on. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable, the power of that skull. It's real.
It is, and again, sitting with, we filmed probably hundreds of sessions at this point, and almost everybody. I don't think there's different degrees and levels of people being affected by it, obviously, but everybody there's some sort of communication happening that is opened up in people. It's kind of like, that's why we call it skullawaska. It's kind of like ayahuasca. You have a calling for it, and then you go and you sit with the skull and you have this session that Bill facilitates. He just basically just sits there and holds space for the person to be with it, and like as spoken in Phoenix's episode, she had this miraculous healing with the crystal from this, that's been charged by the Mitchell Hedges skull. Her brain hemorrhaging tumor went away just spontaneously. Doctors didn't know what was going on. That was one of her main attractions to the skull. But everybody's got their own story of why they were attracted to the skull. They either had a dream or some sort of knowing, and they looked it up on the internet, and they ended up finding Bill, or Bill finds them, and what we're finding in the documentary is a lot of these people who have connections to the skull seem to have past life images of being with the skull in the past in Atlantean times. And through their sharing of these images, we're actually able to get an idea of our history, sort of rewriting or retelling of history, individual people with different pieces of the puzzle. But as filmmakers, we're putting it together, and we're seeing this bigger picture unfold that is really fascinating.
This is Blue Appetite. Ocean
Blue
Queen.
Apatite.
Blue Apatite. Look, glows, man. Look at that.
What do you know the like the properties or the energetic properties of
Yeah,
of the
this is open consciousness, open thinking, positive. There's a lot of things about it, but most of it is right there, which is certainly what I need. But yeah, it just glows, man. It's just it's a blue that it's self-lit. You know, you don't need anything around. I'm holding it up to the other camera, and I'm holding it up to this one. But look at that.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, one of the other things that we're discovering through all this is obviously the scientific data around crystals, right? Crystals they're silica. They hold information. That's Silicon Valley uses the crystals since day one to store and hold information. So if in theory, if this thing has been around since the beginning of time, or at least what we understand time is, it does hold a lot of information. Hewlett-Packard, it did tests on it back in the I think it was as far back as the 60s. And their assessment was there was some sort of like computer time machine holding vast information, and with the type of crystal it is and everything, it could hold so many, I forget the exact amount, so many
thousands of terabytes.
Yeah. And then one of the other things that we've sort of discovered is the geometry of the human skull has unique properties, and I think this is why a lot of shamans and people in back in the day sort of revered the human skull. Is it's almost its own. The skull itself is in the shape and the form, and even though each skull is slightly different and people have different bone structures and stuff like this, but there is almost a tuning fork. Are harmonics that the geometry of the skull has, and is able to sort of connect to these other realms, just in the shape, and not just this crystal itself. So in that combination, we're definitely tapping into some really interesting energies, and in the film we do a little bit, and we're going to be doing some more scientific studies into crystals and into the properties and how try to put a little science in there so it's not all woo.
Now we're up to we're at the end of the show. We're up to episode 9 for season 3 in Interview with Interview with Ed. How many episodes are going to be in this season, and how often are you putting them out?
It's looking like I'm going to have at least 25 episodes.
Wow.
Maybe 30. We'll see. And for now, so Gaia hasn't picked up season 3 yet. Fingers crossed that they will. Hoping that they do pick it up at some stage here. I think they're waiting for me to get a few more episodes under my belt. But right now, I'm sort of going at my own pace of doing 1 or 2 episodes a month. So if it's a dual episode, so like in the old format of a interview and a channeler, that person. So basically a person every month. So hopefully it shouldn't take another 12 months to get all the episodes out. They'll probably be out before then, but first of every month I drop a new episode.
There you go. Reuben Langdon, ReubenLangdon.com, interviewwithed.org. Reuben, enjoy 2022, man, and I look forward to shooting this episode on Crystal Skulls here very soon.
Absolutely. We got you. It won't take 25 years, I promise.
Oh, man. I'm going to have long hair by the time that kicks off. Thank you so much, Reuben. Be safe out there. And let's big thank you to Elon Musk. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thanks, Jimmy. Appreciate it.
Reuben Langdon. It's ReubenLangdon.com. All simple. ReubenLangdon.com. We've got all the links up on social media. And, of course, over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Fade to Black is produced by Hill J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Bateau, and Mark D. Kovar. Webmasters Drew the Geek. Music Doug Aldrich. Intro Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. This broadcast only copyrighted 2022 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, Don Schmidt. Until then, I want everybody to be safe. It's time to fade to black.